Hello, BookTube. Well, it happened again. Once again, I was minding my own business, combing through the wilds of BookTube, our home, away from home, and the YouTube algorithm suggested a video that isn't quite BookTube, but it is close enough to book-related so that I couldn't help but see it on the suggested bar on the right-hand side of my screen. And I clicked on it, and I watched it, and it was a YouTuber that I already subscribed to, and as with other videos that have fallen in this informal series, it both intrigued me, stimulated a response in me, and also irritated me like crazy. So I thought we'd go over it together, just in case the algorithm has suggested it to you as well. As far as I know, it has had multiple thousand. As of this morning, 9,000 views. That will probably boost it into your algorithm as well. It's called A Non-Reader's Guide to Reading 6,600 Pages a Year, and it's by Jordan Taylor, one of these young, slim, professional YouTubers with big saucer plate anime eyes who gets all zany on camera and does so for a paycheck. And I knew that already. This kid went viral a decade ago on YouTube and has been a professional YouTuber ever since. And one of the things, I'm no expert by any means. I have made more videos than this kid, but I'm no expert by any means. But one of the things I've noticed about professional YouTubers, people who don't do anything else, that is their job, is that they fall into two categories, and there's almost nobody who falls anywhere else. These two categories, either they were following a passion of theirs, and it made them go viral, and it made their channel huge, and they are just continuing to follow their passion. I watch a ton of videos like that. Conspiracy theorists who made it big. I watch 2 tech channels by guys who started off with no subscribers and never wanted to do anything more than enthuse knowledgeably about tech on camera, and they both have huge channels, and they keep doing that. And also, there's a paragliding channel where that is his passion. That is all that he cares about. And, well, that's one of the things that he cares about. There are a couple of others. There are also YouTube channels devoted to those other things too. But the thing, he loves paragliding, and that has made his channel huge. There's that kind of YouTuber where they start a channel because they have a passion, they follow their passion, and it makes their channel huge. And then there's the other kind of YouTuber who starts wanting to be huge and will do anything to make that happen. So in one, it's effect following cause, and in the other, it's I know the effect and I'll do whatever cause I need to. I'll have myself wrapped up in saran wrap and mailed across the country. I will eat 3 jars of cinnamon raw on camera. I will jump into a bucket of slime. Whatever it takes, I will do, because I'm a view chaser. All I want is to do that. And I've noticed, this again is a generality on my part, but I've noticed that the first group, the one who follows their passions to a large audience, tend to be not only honest, but eminently honest. They know where they are. They know the ground under their feet. They have reached the point where they are, where they're making substantial amounts of money every week by being themselves, by honestly conveying their own interests. And the other group, the one that started out saying, I want to be YouTube famous and I'll do whatever it takes to get there, is, again, this is a generalizing, but that second group, I have found, is completely dishonest. Not just when the cameras are on. It eats away at them. It's the Logan Paul syndrome. So it eats away at them so that no matter when you encounter them in their lives, they cannot be honest about anything, ever. This is where the vlog channels come from. This is where the drama channels come from, like Keemstar. People like this cannot be honest ever. And certainly when you hear them on camera, when they look straight at the camera and they say, listen guys, I want to tell you one thing, and this I mean from the heart, they are lying. They are lying. They are lying. They are not pausing in the headlong momentum of their channel in order to tell you the unvarnished truth about who they are. They don't do that, not just when the camera's on, but ever. I have generally found that splits these two groups. So I, of course, went into Jordan Taylor, this video about a non-reader's guide to reading 6,600 pages a year, with a lot of trepidation. You have to pardon the background noise. It's the groundkeepers. Because he is that second group of YouTubers. So he, by extension, never tells the truth about anything. He's just after the next most lucrative sponsorship. And if he gets caught by social media in a flagrant lie, he'll just laugh it off. That's part of the business. Yeah, it's just part of the business. So I naturally went into a video about reading with a lot of trepidation, because he has 150,000 subscribers, and other channels that he has have also been hits as well. So, but I wanted to see what the video would be about, and he starts off by saying, I always felt just dumb. I always felt dumb just picking up a book. Like, I'm not worthy of this. I'm dumb. That gave me a further trepidation, because you don't have to watch more than a couple of this kid's videos to realize that he, like most of the second group of YouTubers, he's a raving egomaniac. And not only does he not think he's dumb, but all the people around him, all of whom are paid employees of him, are not allowed to think that, even on their own time. They're not allowed to even think it, much less say it. That no one is allowed to think that about him, and he certainly does not think it about himself. But I thought, all right, maybe it's a bit, maybe it's a bit of setup in order to make his viewers feel at home or whatever. So he has a stack of books next to him on a table, an ostentatiously unfinished wooden table in his ostentatiously unfinished wooden cabin, and he's talking about how he's a non-reader, and yet he got all of this stack of books read in 1 year, and he wants to give 5 tips on how to do that. And I thought, okay, great. I know lots of non-readers, and some of them, not many, not as many as you would think, by far the minority, but some of them actually would like to become readers. It does feel a little intimidating for them. So I'm always up for tips. I have plenty of my own. And his first tip, I want to go through the tips first, and then we'll break down the video. And the first tip is read first thing in the morning. He had a hit video a year ago where he talked about how getting up an hour early in the morning and just being in the world that extra hour before the day gets started, before the hectic, everything pulling at you of the day gets started, has really done wonders for him. He looked into the camera and said, guys, this has really done wonders for me, which means it hasn't. He doesn't do it. It's all a lie. But it was a fun video to watch, because if you did that without being a professional liar, it actually would have an effect on your life. I know people who have done that, who started to steal that extra hour from their day, usually first thing in the morning, because it's harder to do in the rest of the day. The rest of the day is awake and watching when you're doing it. But if you do it first thing in the morning, I have known people who have done that, and it has made a big difference in their peace of mind. So that a lot of people obviously struck a chord with that video, because it's done really well. And this is sort of an outflow from that. He says that when he was just starting to get into reading, another flag going up on that line, but we'll get to it. When he was just starting to get into reading, he did a certain amount of set time in the morning first thing, and that it worked. That at first he set a timer and was grateful when the timer rang, because he could go on to other things, but that after a while he started to like that time, and it really worked to help move the bookmark in his book. I wholeheartedly agree with that. That is an outflow of what I've said on this channel many times, which is that if you want to do more reading, you have to prioritize reading in your life. You have to make space for it. That makes perfect sense. We all understand that on an intuitive level with everything else that we do. But for some reason, reading seems to be special. And it's not. It's just a practice. It's a muscle like anything else. So if you want to prioritize it, you might not have to do something as extreme as getting up an hour early to read, although it has worked for lots of people, including lots of professional authors that I know and have known over the decades, who said, no, once the day really starts, once kids are running around, once friends are calling, once I know that my publicist, my agent, my readers are all in their offices, I feel like I have to be working, and working for a writer means writing. But that extra hour, an hour before or an hour at night, when I after I set things over, I've known a lot of our authors who stopped at 2 in the afternoon and would just say, that's enough, no more. For them, the reading is very important, and it helps that it's a nice structured time. So whether you're doing it first thing in the morning or not, structuring a little bit of time for reading as a start to increasing your time reading is a really good idea. Then tip number 2, he said, is that reading is low commitment. And that bugged me at first, but his point was that you do not need to have absolutely perfect conditions in order to read, and you should get that thought out of your head. That things don't have to be absolutely perfect for you to get some reading done. You're going to remember it, it's going to help move that bookmark, and it's going to continue to strengthen a habit. I wholeheartedly agree with that. I wholeheartedly agree with almost all of these. The next one, number 3, is absolutely essential, and you're all going to be nodding, because you are all readers. But it is interesting to watch a video about someone who's a non-reader. Although, as you'll see, that's not what this is. But the third tip is take a book everywhere. And that is so true. You wouldn't think it. But yeah, take a book everywhere. And I would add to that, when you take a book everywhere, you realize how many little dead spots exist in a day. And there's a lot. Not so much in my days anymore. My days are almost exclusively turned over to reading. But a normal day, I remember when I had normal days, and there are dead spots everywhere. And if you fill them with reading, you really get a lot of reading done. And I would add to this, because technically speaking, we all bring books with us everywhere we go because they're on our phone. But I would argue to bring a printed book as well. Because when you're in a dead space and you haul out your phone, your instinct is going to be to use your phone as the same kind of time-wasting hub that you use it elsewhere. Your instinct is going to be to scroll through Instagram or look at Twitter or something like that, or check your email. Whereas if you have a printed book, that's not. My advice would be bring a printed book with you, and when you hit a dead spot, don't even take out your phone for a second. Don't take it out to check it. Just take out the book. Trust that 2 hours can go by without checking your phone. Trust that is true. I guarantee you it is. 2 days can go by without you checking your phone, but 2 hours certainly can. So I agree with this completely, and I would add to it, bring a physical book with you. Then tip number 4 was the first 5 minutes are hard. It's a little bit of science fiction here. He's talking about someone who does not read anything ever. All right, if you're talking about reading books, and maybe you're not a diehard reader, so you haven't read a book in a while, haven't cracked a book in a while. I can't imagine anybody watching this video if that was true. But there are people like that. And he points out that the beginning, maybe not literally the first 5 minutes, but the beginning, transitioning from your phone mind frame to your book mind frame, is a little bit stilted. It is noticeable as an atmospheric shift. I agree with that. I think that's true even if you're not a non-reader. Most of us have fallen into a disastrously deep habit of living on our technology, living on our phone. That's a very bad place to be, and you should get out of that place as fast as possible. Even if you don't get out of it to read, you should still get out of it as fast as possible. These things, these handheld devices, have become so omnipresently addictive that it really is worth your while to pay attention to how much you use it and maybe stop using it that much. So I recommend, this is true, the transition from doing that to reading is hard at first, and then it gets easier. And then tip number 5 is that it's okay to reread some things. He wanted to stress that when you're beginning, it's not a function of stupidity if you encounter a passage in a book and you feel like you need to reread it immediately. That's not stupidity, that's, as he puts it, a quest for knowledge. I agree with that. The main thing that the main aspect, the element from that I would underline, is that this is not a contest, and your self-esteem is not on the line at all. Okay, so whether you're a diehard reader and you want to read more, or whether you're a non-reader and you want to read some, one of the key things underlying this particular tip is to get your self-esteem out of the equation completely. Okay, your self-esteem rests on other things. It should not be wrapped up in reading. You're on a subway, you're on a crowded subway, you see a father sitting with his kid, the father is ignoring the kid is playing and bouncing in her seat, the father turns and slaps the kid in the face. What do? That's where your self-esteem is. That's what wraps up your self-esteem. You're driving down the road, you see a stray dog in the rain, terrified, alone. You've got a very important appointment at a job, maybe, or with a loved one. What do you do in that moment? What do you do in that moment? That's where your self-esteem comes in, okay? You're on a crowded subway platform. A guy runs up to someone and grabs their shoulder bag and starts running in your direction, headed for the stairs. What do you do right in that moment? Right in that moment, what do you do? That's where your self-esteem comes in. Your self-esteem is not connected with reading at all. And anybody who thinks it is, anybody who tries to make you feel that it is a douche canoe. The fault is on them, not you. If somebody says to you, if you're at some sort of book club or a library group or whatever, and people are talking about books, and you say, I love Lee Child, he's pretty much the only author I read, I never miss a book of his, they're so good, and the people near you start condescending to you, that's on them, not you. Your self-esteem should not be involved. There is no wrong way to read. So those were Jordan Taylor's 5 tips on how a non-reader became a reader who read 6,600 pages in a year. And you might think, well, okay, if that's the video, then why do you have a problem with it? I'll leave a link to the video down below. You will be able to spot my problem right away. And the problem is that this whole thing was a lie. This whole thing was an ad for a service called Blinkist. It's an app. In the middle of his video, Jordan Taylor shifts from talking about these tips. Half of them are before the ad, half of them are after, but that doesn't matter. I'm sure that was on his mind. He was thinking, well, I'll just lodge this in the middle. I'll lodge the lie in the middle. But there's no such thing as a lie sandwich. If the lie is anywhere in the video, the whole video is a lie. I know that's alien thinking to professional professional YouTubers, but it is nevertheless true. Because now I don't know what you mean and don't mean. I have no idea what's been bought and paid for and what hasn't. And Blinkist is an app that gives you the best insights and need-to-know stuff from works of nonfiction in 15 minutes. Notice it is not an audiobook service. It gives you 15-minute summaries of various nonfiction books, most of them junk to begin with. Most of them self-help, affirmative lessons from life junk to begin with. It breaks them down for 15 minutes. In his video, Jordan Taylor says that he lives in Nashville and that everything in Nashville is about 20 minutes from everything else when you're driving. And of course, when you're driving, you can't be reading. So during those moments, he uses Blinkist. And he gives you a code because he is a salesman for Blinkist. He gives you a code for a discount if you tell them you came through his channel. And that's where he's getting the kickback that they give him, plus upfront money, I'm sure. He says that these things give you the best insights and need-to-know stuff from nonfiction in 15 minutes, and he basically says that this is to prevent you from actually needing to do all that tedious reading. He says, trust me, if I could read this many pages, and he points at the stack of books on his ostentatiously unfinished table, then you can. But by that point in the video, we've already seen the lie. So we don't know, is he considering that he has read a book if he's heard a 15-minute Blinkist summary? Seems it to me. Certainly that's the implication you could draw from the video. So it was loathsome. You go in thinking, oh great, this is going to be neat reading tips. You come out feeling soiled all over. You have accidentally, there was somebody on your porch who seemed perfectly nice, big saucerpan eyes, 5 pounds of product in his hair, well spoken. You invite him in, and only after 15 minutes does he tell you that he was waiting out there because he has something to sell you. It's just a soiling experience. So if this video has popped up in your feed, I wanted to do my own irate video response to it to point out to you a few things. The first thing that I mentioned at the beginning of the video is a point that I've made on this channel before. Some of you over the year that I've been saying it have emailed me and said that it seems a little hard line to you, and I stand by it anyway. It's not palatable to hear because a lot of your favorite booktubers do it, but nevertheless, it is true. I am several times older than your favorite booktubers, and I'm telling you, it's true, and that is, any kind of paid sponsorship is a lie, and anyone who does one is not just lying in that video, but you should consider it is the odds-on likelihood that they're lying any other time you hear them. If your endorsement, if your goodwill, if you personally can be bought and paid to recommend a service that, when it comes to Jordan Taylor, I unconditionally guarantee you he does not use Blinkist. I unconditionally guarantee it. He used it maybe once, but I would be willing to guarantee that he doesn't use it at all, and that means that this video is a lie, and by extension, all other videos of him are a lie. You don't get to take back being a liar. Once you are one. So one of the takeaways from this video is something that I stressed on this channel before, which is that you shouldn't do paid sponsorships. No one should. Unless it's your job to do that. I guess you could say that there's a rationale by which we can excuse Jordan Taylor and YouTubers like him because they're the second group of YouTubers. They're made to lie. That's all they're doing. That's all they've ever done online is lie. They basically said, when they were antic, crazy teenagers like the Dolan twins or whoever, they basically said to whatever gods may be, I want to be a YouTube star, and I will lie in any way you want me to do in order to make that happen. Any lie you want me to tell, I will tell. That's my goal. So one of my takeaways from this video would be, really, you ought to pay as much attention as you can to the first group of YouTubers who said, this is my passion, and then a year, 2 years later said, oh my God, I can't believe that my passion allowed me to be a success. That's wonderful. Let's keep talking about my passion. I would pay more attention to that group than I would to the second group, the professional liars, the ones who need 50 takes, the ones who have ring lights, the ones who are so smooth and polished on camera that you know that nothing they want to do is sincere. Nothing they're telling you is sincere. This video is a perfect example. How a non-reader's guide to reading 6,600 pages a year. It's 5 tips, none of which the author follows because he doesn't need them anymore, because he has Blinkist to give him the gist of a book in 15 minutes while he's driving from, you know, one non-bookish activity to another non-bookish activity. And to make things worse, you only need to do 5 seconds of Googling on this kid, on Jordan Taylor, to realize that the whole premise of the video was also a lie. He was an English major. So he's not a non-reader, and he never has been. So that whole beginning line, I always felt dumb just picking up a book, like I'm not worthy of this, I'm dumb. No. In addition to the fact that you've never thought you were dumb because you're a raving egomaniac, is also the fact that you were an English major. So you're not a non-reader. You're not coming to books and saying, what is this weird object in front of me? I don't know how to operate it. If only there were some tips I could use. No. So I want to caution you against videos like this if it crops up in your feed. But on the other hand, I also want to stress that by coincidence or whatever, these 5 tips are good. they are good tips, not only for a non-reader getting into reading, but for a reader maybe remembering the essentials of improving reading. So the tips themselves, read first thing in the morning, or, you know, the translation being set aside time for reading. Reading is low commitment, and the translation being it doesn't have to be perfect, just drag out a book and read. Number 3, especially, take a book everywhere. Absolutely true. I would argue take a printed book everywhere. Number 4, the first 5 minutes are hard. That was part of the lie of him trying to play the part of a complete non-reader, someone who's never read in his life. I'm just a dumb pretty boy. That's all. But you were an English major, so that isn't true. But nevertheless, the idea behind it, that if you're transitioning from screen time to page time, that the transition will be hard at first, that's true and worth remembering. And the last one, which is that it's okay to reread some things, yeah. If the underlying sentiment of that is that there's no personal worth involved here, there's no self-image at all here, then that is absolutely true. Reread as much as you want. Sound things out as much as you want. Look up as much as you want. Do whatever you want. Whatever you want. I guarantee you're only going to do that sort of stuff for a little while, and then your learning brain will be picking up speed the whole time. So that's the main point that I wanted to make. I don't have 150,000 subscribers. I have not been on YouTube since 2002 or whatever. But these 5 tips are still good. So I wanted to sort of salvage them from the sea of BS that is the rest of the video. so sorry about that. Maybe I won't leave a link to the video down below just in case I should spare you. But that is a video response to spark up your Saturday. I'm not going to promise a video response every Saturday, but this came right into my wheelhouse. So I'm going to wrap this up for now and go yell at the groundskeepers. But I'll be back. Thank you, BookTube.